Hi, I wanted to give everybody a quick overview of what's happening with our integrated tech team. We had our big all-group winter workshop yesterday afternoon at Little Mountain, and I wanted to share some of the things that we talked about because an important part of these all-group meetings is working on getting the same language and the same understanding out through all of our for all of our teachers and staff, so that we're on the same page, and then we can support each other in using technology effectively in the classroom. So that's why we're having the meetings, and that's why I'm sharing with you this way as well. Okay. So just a reminder, I've shared this with you before, but some of the products that are going to come out of this work that we do, our teachers are working on lesson plans and resources that we can share with other teachers, so that we're building a repository of ideas and resources that will just grow as we continue this program in the future. Another fun and exciting thing is collaborative projects. Right now we're collaborating across schools in our district, but we will also be collaborating outside of the district as well. So students and teachers are learning how to work together on projects and the tools that help make that available and take our classroom outside the walls. And like I said before, just this idea of we're going to have a common knowledge and understanding about best practices with instructional technology. So we're all looking at things through similar lenses. And another thing that I am hoping that can come from this, and this partly this, is providing for principals a list of look-fors and questions that they can ask when they go into a classroom. Perhaps you don't know the tool that's being used, and that's fine. There's a million different tools. But if we all had some specific things and ideas of things that we're looking for, not we, I'm not an evaluator, but when you go into the classroom, that shows some examples of effective technology use. There's a lot of ways it can be used. Technology can be being used in the classroom that's really not making a big impact. And so I'm hoping that we can start to learn what does make an impact, what does make it worthwhile, and what's best done with paper and pencil or face-to-face conversation. So that is part of this process as well. So so the products and outcomes are kind of the same, but so confidence in teaching with tech is a big one. We have a wide range of teachers in this group, and some feel quite confident and others do not. And so just helping them see what they can do and feel a little more comfortable, and also helping them to see what their students can do, I think that builds a lot of confidence that it's available, because a lot of times we feel like, first grader can't do this, and they really can. So giving them the opportunity to see that. I'm sharing resources and tools. We all are, that can help us have a toolbox. I saw a really great example of one of our teachers using several different tools with her first graders seamlessly in a project on sea animals. And it was just great to see how she had built this project, and her students knew these tools and she knew the tools, and it just made for a really robust project. And then again, that whole common knowledge piece, and most importantly, that our students are getting the opportunity to use tech in empowering, engaging ways in their classroom, because that's what this is all about. We want our teachers to feel comfortable using technology so that the students have that opportunity. And for a lot of our students, school is their opportunity to be able to learn how to use these tools. And if we are uncomfortable, and so it doesn't happen in school, it doesn't happen anywhere, and that is not good for our opportunity gap. So we need to make sure that we're providing those opportunities for all of our students. Okay, and I'm going to share the celebration and share. I will share in our Google Classroom, and you can take a look at that. The teachers shared a lot of great collaborative projects that they're working on, and just some different things that they're trying in their class. And it's great for us to be getting to know each other and being able to build on each other's strengths and learn from each other's failures as well. Okay, so just a couple of things I just wanted to make sure that you're aware of. So the state of Washington for a long time has had state standards for educational technology, and they've pretty much just been kind of sitting there in the background, and nobody's really paid a lot of attention to them, mainly because we haven't had the tech to enforce what we're doing. Well, tech has changed a lot since those standards were written, and this year Washington State OSPI is adopting new tech standards, and I happen to be on that committee. But the exciting thing, I think, is that what they have decided, or the committee has decided, is that the tech standards that we're going to adopt are actually the international tech standards. So they're already adopted by ITT, which is our international organization, which provides lots of resources for us. And so we're not just having to reinvent everything in the state of Washington. And I'm going to share those student standards real quickly in just a minute, but I also wanted to share that if you go, and this is in the notes as well, to the ISTE standards, you will see that there's also standards for our teachers and standards for administrators, and with a lot of really great examples and data that goes along with it. So it's not just you must be an analyst, but it actually explains what that means in the classroom and how that looks with students. So this is a really good tool for us as teachers, and also as administration who's looking for ways to better support our teachers with technology. This can help you know what to be looking for and what kind of questions to be asking and how to support your teachers in that. So just a quick run through of what those standards are, because they're pretty exciting, I think. Empowered learner. So this idea of students having choice in their learning and being able to get excited about something and drive that learning. And technology helps us to do that in a lot of different ways. Digital citizen. This is an oldie but a goodie, and still incredibly important that we're helping our students know how to live in that digital world in a way that's good. And we've seen a lot of bad living in the digital world, and so if we can help our students and model for our students positive behavior and help them build a positive footprint, or now we're saying tattoo because it's harder to get rid of a tattoo than a footprint. For our students, that's really powerful. This one, sorry, this is hovering over here, but knowledge constructor. So this idea of being able to take information from a lot of different resources and build on them to create new things or create new understanding of things. Also, so tech is a great tool for that. Innovative designer. So just that idea of being able to be create and take things and build things and look at things in new ways. Computational thinker, of course, you know, this ties in with math especially, but also all of the coding and just figuring out how to problem solve and how things work and how to take things apart and see the smallest piece and be able to build things up in new ways. Creative communicator, so many great ways for our students to communicate using technology, creating videos, music, all kinds of different media. And then global collaborator, and this is my favorite. I just love the idea that technology can really open the world up for our students and give them opportunities to learn from people that they wouldn't normally be able to learn from inside their classroom. And so back to that. So those all of those standards for instructional technology, I think you'll see, yeah, those are things we want for our students. They don't look real techy. They just look real aspirational, like aspirational goals for our students. And so I'm hoping that we can all kind of embrace those and help our teachers to be able to find ways to incorporate those in their classroom. And then lastly, well, not lastly, another thing that we did in our meeting yesterday is we took a look at an article that was written by from research by the American Pediatric Society or something like that, pediatric doctors. And this article, I'm going to pull it up right here, talks a little bit about something that we hear a lot about, especially with our primary kids, and that's about screen time. So the doctors have changed from having this is how many hours of time, at different levels your child should be on screen time, which means any kind of screen, TV, gaming, iPads, computers, etc. So they've changed that to actually what they're doing on the screens during a certain time. So for children 6 years and older, we should limit digital media, but these are the ways that we should limit and where we should encourage it. So children, it says here, children should prioritize productive time over entertainment time. So when we're thinking about how students are using technology in the classroom, we should be looking for, are they actually creating something? Are they doing something? Or are they just consuming something? So that's a really important distinction when we're looking at what they're doing in the classroom. It also says the Academy of, I'm sorry, I don't know exactly what that is, pediatric doctors, agrees that digital media should never replace healthy activities, particularly sleep, social interaction, and physical activity. So we don't want couch potatoes, and we want them it to be a balance. And so this idea, and this article was really written for parents, but this idea of being a media mentor and actually helping students understand, or their children understand what is a good way to use this digital media, and that's teaching them how to use it as a tool to create, connect, and learn instead of just as entertainment. And then the other piece I pulled out here is just the idea that many aspects of digital media are positive, and when it's interactive and it facilitates communication and allows people to create, it's positive and good for our students. So that's the kind of questions and things we should be looking for when we're thinking about how technology is being used, especially with our young students. This also mentions just, being aware of cyberbullying and, advertising and all that kind of stuff, and making sure our students can navigate, what is true, what is false, all that kind of stuff. It would be great if we all could navigate that a little bit better than our world seems to be able to navigate that right now. And so another thing that we looked at, we're looking at different ways to evaluate our lessons and how we're using technology. So a couple of tools or filters that we took a look at, and I'm just going to share these briefly with links so that you can look at them a bit more. So the first thing that we looked at is the SAMR model, which many of you may have heard of at this point, but it's just an idea of looking at how we're using technology. Oftentimes we start with substitution, and sometimes we bounce around these. This is not really a ladder or anything like that, but we'll start with substitution, which basically we're using tech in the same way that we were using a non-tech tool. So maybe writing a paper with pen and paper, or typing it on the computer. So really there's no different learning happening for our students. It's the same task. Nothing has been improved on that. And then augmentation means there's some improvement. So maybe with using the word processor, they're also using spell check and some formatting tools and things like that. So it's augmented a little bit. But what we really want to go is from moving from using the tools that way, which really don't have much of an impact at all on our students, to using them more in transformational ways. So there's a significant task redesign. So Google Docs is a really good example of how, yes, it can just be used as a word processor, which can be here or here, but it can also, you can add comments for feedback. Students can collaborate together and do things that they couldn't really do without it. They weren't doing without the technology. The way that we can have pretty much immediate feedback for our students. So those would be modification, which does start to transform how that activity looks and what kind of learning can happen. And to move it even one step further would be redefinition. When we can take something and add to it to the point that it's tasks that were just inconceivable without the technology. And my point that I always make with this, there's lots of different things that it could be, but I often think of things like Skyping and any kind of connection and publishing that we do that brings the outside world into our classrooms and brings our classrooms outside into the world are things that, going on virtual field trips, all of that kind of stuff could not have happened without that technology. And so it can actually do something that you couldn't do without the technology. And if we're going to be spending money on technology, we should probably be looking for how it does actually make improvements. And so that is the SAMR model, and that's just a nice piece of conversation, a common conversation for us to be able to have when we're looking at what's going on and just seeing where it falls on that scale. And every lesson's not going to be redefinition, and that's okay, but just understanding, yeah, I'm doing this, and it's basically just substitution. And then, maybe in PLCs, talking about, right now I'm doing this, it's mainly substitution. What could I do to make it modification or redefinition? So that's a conversation to have. And then, I know this is getting long, I wanted to share, there's another framework that's called the Triple E framework, and it has some really nice questions, and that's one thing that I did want to share with you, and I'm sharing this in print as well. But questions we can ask ourselves when we're looking at how we're using technology. The first questions have to do with engagement. So does the technology allow students to focus on the task of the assignment or activity with less distraction? So oftentimes the way we use technology, the technology actually makes it harder to focus on the learning. And so we don't want to use technology in that way. Sometimes you have to play with the tech first so that they get over that being enamored with the tech before it can really be used as a tool that helps the students focus on the learning more. Does technology motivate students to start the learning process? So just that idea of if that's going to get them going on the right track. And then this is one that goes along a little bit with what the pediatric report said. Does technology cause a shift in behavior of the student where they move from passive to active social learners? So their co-use or co-engagement. So this is actually speaking to, there should be very little time when our students are sitting at their own computer, staring at a computer screen, doing their own thing and not talking to anyone else. Most of the time our students, especially our primary students, are using technology. They should be working together, talking about what they're doing, communicating, connecting. That it should be a tool, but it should not take them away from that conversation that they're having with their peers. So that's the engagement piece. And then enhancement. Does it aid in developing and demonstrating a more sophisticated understanding of content? So sometimes just, interactives and virtual media and things like that can actually give students a better understanding of what they're learning or what they're seeing. So that's a good use of technology. Can you create scaffolds so you can meet the students where they are? Technology is great for that, where we can provide readable text and different things like that that help meet our students where they are. And does it create paths for students to demonstrate their understanding of the learning goals in a way that they couldn't with traditional tools? So is there a way for them to share their understanding with the technology? And last but not least is, extension. So, and basically that's, does it create opportunities for students to learn outside of the typical school day, bridge between school learning and everyday life experiences? So it's just making those outside of the classroom kind of connections. And does it allow them to build skills that they will use in their everyday lives? So that's the EEE model, and I've got that linked in the notes as well. I think that's all. Those are also some really good questions to ask when we're looking at how technology is being used in the classrooms. Okay, and the other thing is I shared, always share some tools to try. So a question you can ask the teachers are, oh, you know, what new tools are you learning about, and how can they do the things that we shared? And here's some examples of very open-ended tools that can be used by our teachers to start building that. And then we talked a little bit about managing learning, because that's a big part of it. Is what do I do with these 5 iPads in my classroom? What do I do with the rest of the students? How do I manage little kids being able to log on and things like that? So we talked a little bit about QR codes and about task cards, where you set up HyperDocs and task cards, where you set up the activity, you build the activities so that it can be self-driven by students. And then a couple of tools for sharing and collecting work, Google Classroom and Seesaw. And now we're to next steps. So we're about halfway through the process this year. I'm still meeting with individual teachers and going into classrooms and working with PLCs. We're still getting together for our collaboration groups. We've got one more big meeting in the spring, and then so lots of learning. And I encourage you to ask your teachers what they're learning and what they're trying in their classroom, and maybe get them to invite you in to see something that they're doing. So I just wanted to share a little bit about what we're doing. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. And also let me know if this little video synopsis was a good idea, or if you would just rather have notes. I'm sharing both, and you can tell me which one works best for you. I'll probably do both if one of them works best for anybody. So I just wanted to kind of keep you in the loop and help you to help better support our teachers. And you let me know how I can help, how you know I can help them as well. So thank you.